Hey everybody, and welcome back to another What the Fuck Friday.
What the fuck?
What the fuck? What WTFF, baby? That's what we've been calling it lately.
Oh fuck! Look at this shit.
Definitely, he decided to wear that. I'm wearing this this Stark.
I used to be heavier back when I could fit in this thing, and now it's just I got all this room.
And so I decided that it was time that I busted out a movie that Paul has been dying to watch and review for What the Fuck Friday. Just something he's been going crazy for. We're actually talking, we just did your Criterion watch, and it was a great movie, fantastic movie. So usually the What the Fuck Friday is worse than the great movie. But I actually happened to pick a really, really good one today, and that is the 90 something, but movie Society.
Oh, great movie.
Yes, and it's a what the fuck.
Oh yeah.
It is a what the fuck. Just absolutely. And it's Brian Yuzna, and I think, did Stuart Gordon do anything with it, like produce it or
This
anything?
is definitely one I would love to have seen with Joanne. I think she would love it.
But yeah, so we got Society coming to us today.
Great film.
So we'll be back and talk about Society after a slow break. So we'll be right back. Bye.
What the fuck?
I have the DVD. I just don't have the Blu-ray.
Hey everybody, and we are back. We have survived Society. We were never.
It's waiting for us.
We were never invited though. Never got that.
No, I'm sort of glad.
Well, we weren't born into it. So, but understand there will be spoilers in this review. And first of all, I want to make a correction. I did say, 90, I thought it was a 90s movie. It is an 80s, like late 80s. Let's see. It was 1989. So, close to 90s. I mean, that's fair. I mean, whatever.
It's very 80s style, though.
Yeah, it's definitely an 80s movie. And I hadn't seen it in a while, but...
and it was after, Reanimator and From Beyond.
And From Beyond.
But it's in that vein.
There was the... When did the other one we do with... Oh, that was 2000s, was the Dragon, or whatever, the one... Dragon.
Oh, Dagon.
Dagon.
Yeah.
Sorry. Stuart Gordon. But this was not Stuart Gordon. I don't even think he had anything to do with this. I was looking at the producers. His name didn't pop up, so... No. But, so the movie's basically about this kid, poor guy, Bill Whitney. Who's played by Billy Warlock. So it's really weird, I think, in a bit, to hear them keep saying Billy and, they're talking to the actual actor named Billy. But he is a kid. He's 17 years old, turning 18 soon, and he's just starting to realize something's a little odd.
Something's off. He feels alienated. He feels like he's not part of his family. Feels like he may be adopted. He's something wrong going on.
And he talks to this therapist who kind of keeps telling him, "Oh, everything's fine. You're just maturing. You're just fine. You're all right. Nothing's actually the matter, But the guy keeps mentioning Society, and everybody sort of does. And so, throughout the whole thing, Society becomes the big... I mean, that's the title of the movie. But, that becomes the big thing throughout of it,
Especially since his sister is about to have her coming out party, coming out into society, even though she's kind of already been...
out.
Well, dating and stuff, because it's an old-fashioned thing that really isn't done so much except by the rich people who do stupid shit for, because they're rich and they can do it.
Right. So it's a coming out party, but that's what sets everything in motion. And
well, partially, it's when the friend Blanchard,
who used to date the
sister, finally comes to him and says, "Yeah, there's a reason why you're feeling all this," and he gives him the tapes, and then it's all of a sudden it goes from I was feeling all this to now there's actual evidence of this.
Right. And then he gives it to his therapist who says, there's something wrong. You shouldn't be recording your family without their consent, blah, blah, blah. And he's like, didn't you listen to it? Listen to it. And it's all re-recorded.
It's been altered.
It's been altered to sound normal and everything. And so it's not the, obviously the same
because
tape.
Society has the wealth and the means and the ability to change things, to preserve itself, to keep the secret.
Yeah, but I think a lot of that also has to do with the fact that, and we find this out, and once again, this is a spoiler, so if you haven't seen it, I think it's on Tubi, so if you're able to watch it on Tubi, go watch it.
That's great.
Yeah. I think Arrow does a lot of movies and puts a lot of movies on Tubi, but if it's on Tubi, go watch it, because it's definitely...
It's a what the fuck Friday movie, I can tell you.
We'll get into some of the really, really what the fuck stuff, but one of the things you find out is that it's an alien thing. Like, Ish. They say that they've been here for years, I guess before we existed.
Or right around the same time.
And they kind of adapted to look like us and stuff. They can manipulate themselves.
And it's the idea that, the rich class, that whole group, is somehow different than everybody else. Better, a different breed, a different race, a different everything.
Yeah, and they say that too, like even a different species, and they say that stuff to him to kind of let him know. But that's all in the future.
And it turns out the reason he's been feeling that he's different is because he is different. He's not one of them, but he's been grown like a crop or like a pet or like a domesticated animal to be eaten later by his parents and sister, and they're part of the society where he isn't.
Yeah, so everybody else is part of the society, which I wonder, like, so is the sister older or younger?
Could be either way. Doesn't matter.
Yeah. So he feels like he's been adopted, and he actually is. And the girl knows, like, there's this other girl, Clarissa, who's sort of also
Clarissa
one of them.
Explains it all.
Yeah, she does explain it all.
Well, almost.
Yeah, she kind of explains a lot. She sort of explains some. And she tells him not to go back home or whatever when later.
She actually, even though she's one of them, she actually does like Whitney. So
yeah, she thinks he's really sweet, and he is. He's a nice guy.
But she's definitely one of them. I mean, there's one point where they're, having, a nice little time, and then he notices she's in a very, very weird, unnatural position, just like momentarily, and then she's like, oh yeah, don't worry about that.
Yeah. She kind of like, she's like, oh, when was the last time you had sex?
Because she was kind of there to be a distraction and to sort of like tantalize him and maybe catch him off guard and maybe lure him a little bit, but then she seems to really actually enjoy being around him. And
yeah, she enjoys him.
She helps him out.
So she becomes.
She kind of saves him.
Yeah, she becomes a savior in a way. Yeah, she.
Her and Milo.
Yeah, and and there's this guy Milo who's been planting all of these like weird things in his car and his locker. There's like
just to mess with him.
Just to mess with them, but he thinks it's society that's doing it as sort of like a stay away from us or whatever. So he's getting paranoid even more, and it pushes him over the edge. And at one point, Milo's like, "Hey, I'm the one who's doing it. I didn't think it would freak you out like that, but I know something. I know something's going on too. You know as well." And I followed you and I saw this stuff. And like all these weird shit happens. Like, and you were saying at that point, it's really made up to look like you don't know what is going on or whatever.
Whether he's imagining all this and he's crazy or if it really is happening.
Yeah. And you find out, he isn't crazy, but they are doing things. They're trying, like at one point they make it look like he's dead and put him in the hospital in order to, and this is Whitney, this is Bill. They put him in the hospital in order to keep him there, and then I guess later they were going to bring him back and eat him, and everything, and then
or shunt with him, which is similar, I guess, in that he gets because they ended up doing it to Blanchard, and he gets kind of absorbed but not before there's all this really weird, disgusting flesh warping going on.
Yeah.
They're like extracting things from him.
They're sucking, like
the one guy likes his beauty mark, so he ends up getting it later on after they absorb him.
But wouldn't, like, normal people not in this society notice, like, why do you have a random beauty mark now? That's the thing I was like. I thought he was gonna eat the beauty mark.
The thing is that what the secret is that, and Ted says it later on, is that you have to be born in society. Well, before people are always want to be there. It's always like, oh, the American dream is to move up in society, but and so it's always sort of dangled in front of you as something that you can maybe achieve if you work hard enough or if you're lucky or whatever. But as it turns out, no, you will never get there because you'll never get there. You're not born into it.
But
you'll be used by it.
There was a subplot with Whitney's girlfriend at the time, and in the beginning, Shauna, and she wants so bad to go to Ted Ferguson's party, and Ted Ferguson is in society. So he kept asking, like, is there anything going on right now? And instead of saying, can I go to the party or whatever, which, I mean, typically if you were part of society, you would already get the invitation, right? And stuff, but you're not. He's not part of society. So he was like, if there's something happening, I'll let you know, but nothing's happening right now, buddy. So he has, Shauna gets mad and upset and breaks up with him at one point just because he can't get her into this party, I guess. That was like her big thing, which made her seem kind of shallow a little bit.
She's like the regular schmo who just wants to chase getting into society.
But her friend is at the party, right? So does that make her friend part of the thing?
I think she's a wannabe too. And
how does she get invited to the party?
I'm not 100% sure.
So I didn't know if the party was all just society members or society members and a few.
There's a reason why they ended up bringing him in there, or finally giving him an invitation. I'm not 100% sure.
I'm not sure what, because they do tell him what happened. He tells her, like, I fucked your sister, then everybody else fucked her, and then we killed Blanchard or whatever, and stuff like that. Which they didn't. Right. They didn't kill Blanchard. They just made it look like. Because later you see Blanchard's dead body, and he doesn't look anything like Blanchard.
But it feeds into his society, into his paranoia, and keeps him unstable. But you're right; it's not like he actually needed to do that. So there are some plot points that are a little questionable. That I'm not 100% sure of the reasons why.
But he told him what happened because, Whitney came in there and just started yelling at him about everything, and then. I love that scene because that scene was probably one of my favorites because Ted gets up and is like, it looked like he was about to beat him up, right? And stuff. And he looks at him, dude, stop being so intense.
Yeah. Like, relax, enjoy everything.
Enjoy. And so he was making himself look good, like the good guy. But then Whitney just kept poking the bear, and he just got mad and was like, That's why at the end when you got the final battle between Whitney and Ted, you're like, this is it. Like, this is our final, like, who's going to win here? And
instead of shunting Whitney, Whitney turns the arm back and has him shunt himself. So, turns him inside out.
Yeah, it turns him inside out. And at one point, his eyes, it goes up in his body and out through his eyes. And, it was just so well done, with the special effects.
There are some definitely grotesque and disturbing special effects.
Your favorite one. Tell them about that.
Oh yeah, with the mother and the daughter being sort of absorbed into each other, and
so like the mother's walking like on her like hands
where the legs are supposed to be. And
her hands are on legs, and then
the daughter's head comes out from between her thighs.
Like her vagina.
And she's like, if there's any Oedipal desires you've got, now's the time to indulge them. And then he backs away from her, and then all of a sudden you see a butt, and his dad's head pokes out from inside the butt. He's like, oh, you're right, I am a butthead.
Because he called him a butthead before, and so he's like, now I am a butthead. Right?
That was awesome.
That was great. That was probably one of the best, Screaming Mad George did the effects.
Best stuff he's ever done.
Fantastic.
Grotesque, disgusting.
Disgusting shit.
But at the same time, you can tell it's
yeah,
FX,
I think that's why I wasn't like throwing up or anything.
Right,
you know?
exactly.
Like I was just like, oh, this is gross.
It's kind of like, the reason why when we see androids or robots, we like the fact that they look different than us, because if they look too much like us, we creeped out by that shit.
Yeah, so there was one point where they were like putting stuff in their mouth from everything and stuff that almost made me like gag a little bit.
Yeah, the hair.
Yeah, things like that, just kind of gross. There was Miss Carlin, who was an interesting character.
Who didn't quite assimilate.
Oh, I don't understand. So she was the mother of an actual like society member, which was the
right,
which was Clarissa, and so Clarissa's mom, who just this woman, I swear to God, she looked like Divine, and everything.
A much more fucked up version.
Yeah, much more fucked up version. Divine would have had a fun time with that.
My feeling is that, she was definitely one of them, but somewhere along the line, in a shunting, she just didn't come back all the way correctly.
Yeah, so she likes hair, apparently.
Yeah, so she's eating hair, and
she's just like touching Milo's hair, and he's like, "Look, you can come with me, but just lay off the hair."
Yeah. So she kind of knows what's going on, but she's all screwed up, and
she's screwed up, so she doesn't care about anything but like hair.
Right. And that's Clarissa's mom, which is the funniest thing.
Yeah, it's Clarissa's mom. So if Whitney and I would assume that if there were further adventures of those two, that Whitney and Clarissa would get married, and his mother-in-law would be that lady, and would I mean, because like it ends with them going off like into the sunset, basically.
With
they
Milo.
left, with Milo. So I think that maybe they would get together and marry. They liked each other.
If you want to marry a weird squid alien slug creature.
She's not like that though. She didn't like partake in any of this.
Well, she did before, but she fell in love with him.
Maybe she. We never saw any of that.
Well, they all do. They all engage.
Are you sure?
Yeah, they all indulge, but she has a thing for him, and in fact, they actually make fun. Ted makes fun of her for that at one point.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, if you're into interspecial sort of copulations, I guess you could get away with it. I don't know. They don't explore that. They leave that open.
Well, they did have sex.
They did.
So I mean, it's not like he hasn't had sex with her already. So
right.
like, I mean,
and survived.
Yeah, and survived. He saw her. And he already saw her weird, like, shit. So, like, that's not going to bother him the next time. So I say they get married. Why not? She's just not part of society anymore. So she won't be doing any of the orgy crazy shit.
Yeah, I mean, I guess. I mean, it's not like the end point of every relationship has to be getting married.
I'm just saying. Why not? Go ahead, Billy. Go get married to her. I mean... and Milo could be your best man, and the maid of honor could be the mom.
So does he then become part of society, or does she
No.
lose? She gets out of society.
She gets out of society.
Okay,
that's the sequel.
But she was born into it.
They're trying to get her back. That's the sequel. They're trying to get her back, but she doesn't. She doesn't want to.
I don't know. I think Brian Yuzna shot his entire load into this particular film. I don't know if there's going to be anything else.
I don't think there ever. Well, I think there would have been one, but except I don't. Like, I think this is the kind of movie where people watched it and they were like,
oh, yeah. I remember
I don't know what.
When this came out, and people had no idea what to make of this movie. It was just
Did you
nuts.
go to the theater and watch it?
No, I saw it later, but I remember when it came out, and people were like, what the fuck? So this is a perfect
what the fuck Friday, because people
yeah.
were like, what the fuck? I mean, we said that, and there was even things that were what the fuck that weren't even normal, like what the fuck kind of shit. Like it was just... all around, like I hadn't seen this before, so I knew sort of little things, it was a little more fresh to me than I remembered it. But there was some weird shit that happened, and throughout the whole movie, you're just sort of, my first time watching it, I was like, oh my God, what the hell?
Great film. I love it.
What's gonna happen next?
Seen it many times. Looked great in Blu-ray. The colors really stood out, and
you've never
everything
seen it on
good.
Blu-ray, huh? No. So it looked great. It's
music is great. It starts off like it's going to be a sort of a typical teen 80s film, boy, howdy, does it go in a very different direction.
So it starts off that way, and then they go into the main credits, and all of a sudden the main credits are all these weird shit happening, like all this weird, and you don't, like you were saying,
just you wait.
Well, you watch it and you're just like, what is this? I don't want to know, what that is. So, and then you watch the movie and then you're like, okay, that makes sense, because it really does kind of show you a sneak peek of what you're getting yourself into.
So this comes with extras and stuff?
Yeah, mention the extras. Can you read it?
I can't. I don't have my glasses.
Let me get it. All right, so it's newly remastered in a 2K digital transfer of the film, approved by director Brian Yuzna. High definition Blu-ray with standard definition DVD presentations. Original stereo 2.0 audio. Optional English subtitles for the deaf and hard of hearing. We always put those on if there's that. Brand new audio commentary by Yuzna.
Nice.
Governor of Society, a brand new interview with Yuzna.
Nice.
The Masters of the Hunt, a brand new featurette featuring interviews with Billy Warlock, Devin DeVasquez.
I loved her. She was awesome.
She was the Clarissa?
She was Clarissa.
Okay. Ben Meyerson and Tim Bartel. The Champion of the Shunt.
Nice.
New, which was a new featurette with FX artists Screamin' Mad George, David Grasso, and Nick Benson. 2014 Q&A with Yuzna, recorded at Celluloid Screams Festival. Brian Yuzna in conversation backstage at the Society World Premiere. Persecution Mania, Screamin' Mad George music video. And original theatrical trailer. And it's got a reversible slip. So you got this one, which I really like, with the face taking off and everything. And then you got, I think what was originally...
Oh, yeah.
Kind of the butthead kind of thing,
And you get the Blu-ray and the DVD, right?
You get the Blu-ray and the DVD, so there you go. And you don't get a booklet in this one. I don't know if they released one before that had a booklet. I just never got that one. But they do have like a little thing that shows some of the movies that...
card.
Yeah, a little card that has like some of the movies that Arrow has. So, I mean, this is a really good Arrow release of it, And it's only like, the movie's only an hour and 40-something minutes, which is pretty quick, like...
Trust me, the time goes by quickly. You're not looking at it, you're not getting bored.
You're not getting bored, and you're not, like... There's nothing slow ever happens. It's always like... there's always a scene that just makes you go, what is going to go? What's going to happen?
Happening next?
Yeah, and then you go to the next thing. Like, there was the cop stuff. Like, the cops were all weird to him and stuff. And I thought in my head, are the cops, like, a part of this, too? I thought about that. I didn't say it out loud. But I thought, man, are the cops somewhat part of this? And then they turn out to be part of it.
At least those two were the ones that they kept showing up. And it was a little weird that it's the same two showing up, but then if you've got cops on the inside, those are the ones you want to have showing up to all this stuff.
Yeah, you want the guys that are going to say, when he calls the cops and says, hey, I want you to check it out,
right?
They're the ones that come to the place and find out there's no car there.
Right, if they've got to secure an area and move a body or move a thing, they're the guys they're going to call and have it set up.
I mean, yeah, there was a lot of weird, kind of crazy shit, and at one point, which was weird, and this might have been the drugs they gave him or whatever. Remember, they did give him drugs, but he did hear what's his name's voice. He heard the Blanchard's voice or whatever, and he thought that Blanchard was in like right next to him, and he wasn't. And there was no way that they could have just like whatever there. So that was, I think, the drugs.
The film does cheat a little bit because it goes a little far in making you wonder if he's crazy or not. So, for example, in the very first scene when he goes and he talks to the counselor, he takes an apple, he bites into it, and he looks, and there's a whole bunch of worms. Well, that kind of makes you think that that's in his head,
right? And they're that part was, I believe, right? Because there's no way they could have done that.
Right, exactly.
Like alien beings like that couldn't have just made them go and then disappear.
And then why? Why would they do that?
Yeah, why would they do it? Because they weren't, at the beginning of the thing, they were not trying to they were trying not to let him know anything was happening.
So I'd be very curious to hear the commentary during that scene, just to hear if Brian Yuzna had either an explanation or more information or something about that.
He's probably going to go, well, we bought that apple.
Or like the ending when, everything takes place at night, and then all of a sudden when they leave, it's during the day, and it's like, well, maybe they filmed that during the day and they didn't want to reshoot it or something, or there's probably a reason.
There might be. He might not even tell you the reasons because he wants you to make that up on your own.
I guess, but I mean, other people I'm sure noticed the change in time. We didn't. They went all night, I guess, but we didn't see all night. We only saw, 20 minutes worth.
Right. Yeah. Well, maybe.
So what happened to the rest of the time?
Well, there might have been time that it kind of faded because there were times where, like. I don't know. You're right. There, it doesn't really explain that, and I don't know why. At the end of the movie, it's daytime instead of night and stuff. Also, it might have been there just for the. I mean, I thought of it as for a director, to get the best shots and everything is going to be during the daytime, not the night.
Because most films are not shot sequentially. They're shot in such a way that it takes advantage of the scheduling for everybody who has to be there at a certain time. So. My feeling is it probably was shot early or, at a different time, and then it was used, and then somewhere along the line they're like, oh, it's not quite, this doesn't really match up. It's all right. No, after all the weird, squiggly, squeeching shit with all the effects and gore, no one's going to think about that part.
Well, no, and if they do, it's also another what the fuck. Why is it daytime now? I don't know. Maybe in society things don't work.
It supports the idea that you've just made a nightmare movie. It's just and you don't quite trust your senses. So. I hate to say it, but I kind of wish it wasn't a happy ending like that. Like I wish that they didn't get out and happy-ish. I wouldn't call it happy. More as just they survived and got away.
Yeah,
we think.
To me, that's happy. I don't know. It didn't seem like the society was going after them.
Right, well, he didn't defeat them. He just defeated one of them.
Well, he defeated one of them, turned them inside out, but he also gave them fear that he could do that to them too, and stuff. So the society does fear them.
They do have all the money and all the power and all the wherewithal, so if they really wanted to exact some kind of revenge, you would think that they could, but will they? That's
because he's a human; they can just kill him.
Yeah. But it's all ambiguous towards the end, so they don't press it, and that's fine. It's fine the way it ended. I had no problem with that.
Yeah, I mean, the whole movie throughout the thing was just like
makes you wonder what happens to the characters later.
Yeah, like I said, they get married,
and it's a sign of a good movie that you want to see what happens to the characters later.
Yeah. I mean, not every movie deserves a sequel, and I for one love the Beyond Reanimator and all the Reanimator movies that Brian Yuzna did. So, for me, but From Beyond didn't get one,
right.
And some of the other movies didn't get sequels because they don't really need one, or whatever. But this movie could have done with the sequel. I would have been okay with that. I would have been
as long as it was Brian Yuzna and not somebody else.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I don't see. That's the thing. Like, this came from his mind. I think he wrote it and directed. I know he directed, but I think he wrote it too. So wouldn't
surprise me.
It came from his thing. So
because honestly, if you wrote this, how many directors are going to want to say, "Oh, I'll direct that"? You have to pretty much write your
Paul
own.
Would.
I'm different, but the 99% of the time, nobody else is going to direct that kind of a movie unless you've written it yourself.
Yeah, exactly.
And you'd want that because he knows exactly how things should be and should, you know what I mean, and the way people should be and the way things should go. So a movie like this, you really want the writer to have as much hand in the directing or doing the directing themselves because they know exactly what's going on.
Yeah, they'll know, this is what I want. Mad Screaming George, go do it.
Because there's plenty of room for misinterpretation by somebody else.
Screaming Mad. I'm sorry, I'm
Screaming
dyslexic.
Mad George.
Screaming Mad George, go do this.
And
then he goes, Screaming Mad George, go do this. And then he goes and makes whatever he wants, you know. And does it the way that, Brian Yuzna probably was looking. I mean, I can imagine him just going, oh my God, what in the world? Like, this is amazing. This is exactly what I envisioned.
This is disgusting.
This is disgusting. I love it. Like that kind of thing. And we love it too. So this is definitely like kind of one of the perfect like what the fuck Fridays. I mean, if you've never seen it, go watch it.
Definitely.
Seriously, go watch it.
Very subversive film.
I mean, we can describe it all day, but until you actually see it, I mean, there are some shit that you'll probably never like expect to see. Like, you'll be like, oh my God. And nobody's ever made a movie like this
and
again.
you're not going to see this kind of a movie made again. No. Probably not.
Unless Brian Yuzna directs it again, and does it, But that's the one thing, like...
Yeah, you said but.
Yeah, butthead. The thing that's great about it is, like, the practical effects and stuff that Screaming Mad George did. If it were today, they'd probably try to do it all CGI, and the butt would look bad, and everything would look terrible, unless they were like, look, we're gonna make this, but we got to do this with practical.
Well,
effects.
it would look flat, it just wouldn't look real. That's the thing.
Well, you were saying some of it didn't look real anyway, right? And stuff. When we watched it, and then
but that was good,
and it probably looks even more so on the Blu-ray than like on a DVD or VHS or whatever, because those were like lower quality. Now when you get a higher quality, you're kind of pointing all this stuff out that normally was not there to be pointed out.
We love our gore effects and all that, but in the back of our head we also don't want it to be too realistic, because we're here to be entertained, you know what I mean? We don't want to be disgusted, outright.
I don't know. Some people want to be disgusted. People love gore, man. I'm not a gore fan, like a gore hound. I like gore but man, Hellraiser, man, I couldn't watch it all the way through. I have to eventually finish it.
The first one?
Yeah. It was too gross for me, man. There's
really?
just too much, too much stuff. I was like,
How did you survive this one?
I don't know. Maybe I watched that years ago. So
of course, you did yell out several times.
I did, and I almost gagged. So there, I mean, and what
especially with the shunting, flump.
Fucking John, speaking of Divine from earlier, John Waters with the, Pink Flamingo. That was disgusting.
Yeah,
so,
there were no effects there. That was the real deal.
Yeah, that's also the What the Fuck Friday that we had, and I was like, that's so gross and stuff like that. But like, this movie was definitely pushing the boundaries of gross. Like that's what they tried to do. So I loved it.
It was good.
It was good.
Really good.
We definitely 4 thumbs up, man. We definitely agree. Like, and tell people go watch it.
There's a thumbnail.
Yeah. All right. So thank you guys for checking this out. I hope you guys enjoyed it.
Go buy it.
Go buy it. I mean, Arrow. I bet you could get this when they do the Arrow sales for like $20. It's definitely worth $20. Or you can get it on eBay. I don't know how much
I'd buy that for $1.
I'd buy that for $20.
There you
go. Go ahead. I did. Because I saw this. I got this at the Arrow table back at Texas Frightmare years ago, because I'd heard. I think somebody recommended this to me at the Arrow table and stuff. So then I brought it back, and I remember watching the videos, and you were like, Society, I love that movie.
Yeah, I had been saving it to do it for IFC, but my list is just so long. Plus, I only have the DVD. I don't have the Blu-ray. So
yeah, so there you go.
For the moment, I will alter that
at some point. I mean, they do Arrow sales all the time at Barnes and Noble, so you should definitely grab it if it's available or whatever. And Amazon Prime actually does match price Barnes and Noble, so grab your Arrows, because this is one of my favorite Arrow films. Also, join me for the Blu-ray Hunter, because I talk about all the Blu-ray stuff and what I know. Probably mentioned that I watched this on one of my things. So definitely check out that. But also check this out. This is more
And
important than most
you brought up a point. It could be on Forgotten Horror Classes simply because a lot of people don't know about it. I mean, a lot of people who are really into horror films know about it, but
and people
the
are into
general
Arrow
audience
and,
don't
and
know.
stuff. You know, yeah. So Arrow people might pick it up. But yeah, you're right. Like, cause when I was thinking about it, I was like, wait, it could be Forgotten Horror Classes. You're like, well, I think, you know, too many people have seen it where it can't be forgotten anymore. But, you know, then again, you've talked about putting Prince of Darkness, you know, on there,
As
and
an
I'm
overlooked
like,
movie.
that's still a movie that I hear a lot of people talk about still. So.
Yeah, it's kind of gotten a bounce back after all these years.
Yeah.
But when it first came out, along with just like this one, it was kind of crickets out there, you know.
So thank you, Arrow and Scream Factory and all those wonderful companies, Criterion, for finding all these movies that like kind of get obscure. Vinegar Syndrome's very good at that too. So thank you all for doing that, because without that, you know, without pointing out that this is a, you know, that this is that kind of movie. Like, this is a movie that people are gonna go,
Oh yeah.
what the fuck, you know? So there you go.
There you go.
All right. Well, thank you guys so much for joining us. Join us next month where it'll be Paul's. Oh, you never know with Paul, man. I mean, you saw the last one. This one, I who knows?
What was the last one? I don't even remember.
The cosplay fetish movie thing.
That was funny.
Yeah, definitely different than this movie. This movie had a budget.
Different than a lot of movies,
Yeah,
frankly.
this movie had a budget, but Paul knows like the most random shit. So, but we'll be back next month for a brand new episode. Until then, everybody.
Bye.
What the fuck?
Butthead.